today. Let's see. Hey, we are live on YouTube, Facebook, and now about to be live on Instagram. John, I have had issues going live on Instagram, and this will be actually our first time. I think I watched the YouTube videos, making sure that we're able to stream on both. It looks like we're live, and they can hear
All
my
right.
audio. Woo, woo, woo. I'm super excited. Welcome to the As You Go Network live every day at 3:16 on the Browns Pressure Washing YouTube channel. This is the source for kingdom-minded entrepreneurs and business owners that desire to create jobs, make disciples, serve the city so they can make an impact while making an income and leave a lasting legacy. And each day, 3:16, we're going to have folks, individuals in different cities, states. They're kind of big deals, and they're going to be sharing their stories. And today I've got my friend John that's going to be sharing a little bit of his story, a little bit about himself, and also how to create more jobs during the entire month of September. Every conversation we have has one goal in mind: help you get more customers, more leads, more jobs. But John, welcome to the show.
Awesome. I'm so excited to be here. It's so fun. I love what you're doing here.
Yeah, thank you so much. You're actually, let's see, today's Wednesday, right?
Yeah.
Or whatever day other people are watching.
Right.
You are my second guest on the As You Go Network. And so
Awesome.
super excited. I had Trevor Steele yesterday. He gave so much value for anybody that is like 16, 17 that's thinking about dropping out of school and starting a side hustle. And he actually shared that as a 16, 17-year-old, you could grow a business up to $300,000 before you graduate high school. Do you think that's true or not true?
100%. 100%. I love Trevor. He's awesome.
She'd be like, he's lying. There's no way. But I
Man,
think
there's kids that do more than that these days. It's crazy.
there's kids doing more than we are, and they haven't even quit school yet. So
Hey, that's true.
super cool. But if you missed yesterday's episode, you can go on YouTube and check it out. Make sure you check out our guest, Trevor Steele. He did a phenomenal job. And today, John, I want to start by just asking you this question. What's the story behind why you started a pressure washing business? And also share everybody the name of your company and where you're located.
Sure. So, name of my company is Revive Power Washing, and we're located in Allentown, Pennsylvania. We're about an hour north of Philadelphia. Um, and why I started it? Well, I it's kind of a long story, but I'll keep it short. I had a career in the construction world. I was a project manager for a family third going into its third generation family run construction company. Very successful construction company. They they employed about 300 people um, at kind of their busiest peak seasons, and it was just I learned a lot about business from that family, and I'm very grateful for my time there. But the kind of sequence of events that happened there, because of the squeeze that we felt in 2008, 2009, I really started questioning if this is what I wanted to do for the next 35 years, because I was in my late 20s at that point, late 20s. And so I started I always had an entrepreneurial spirit, always had little side hustles and side gigs. And a guy that I worked with had an old pressure washer in his shed he was looking to get rid of, and said it wasn't working. And I needed to, just so happened to had to pressure wash my deck. So I took it, jumped on YouTube, figured out how to fix it. 15 minutes later, I'm out there blasting all the green algae off the siding on the house, and like, man, this is actually really satisfying. I like this. And started going to town on the deck and getting that done. Well, halfway through the deck, the thing blew up, started smoking. It was toast. So I had to finish the job, and I didn't want to go out and spend the money on a brand new unit. So I jumped on Craigslist, and I'm searching for used units. And one of the listings on Craigslist was commercial pressure washing truck will teach you how to start your own pressure washing business. And that was a light bulb moment for me. I never knew pressure washing was a business that anybody can make money at it. I didn't even know it was the thing people did. Honestly, I just thought everybody went out and bought one from Home Depot and did it themselves. So that was kind of the catalyst for me.
That's so good. What was it about the construction business? And I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but what I heard you say was you were kind of contemplating pathways. Why did you not consider what was going on that made you, even put in the search on Craigslist? What was going on in the background of your head?
You mean with my time at the construction company there?
Yeah, why not stay there?
Yeah, it was a tough choice. It really was, because I loved the people that I worked with there. I truly did. I cared for them. It felt like a family, and it was a really tough decision for me to want to leave that. But I looked at my family, and at the time, I was married, and we had two little kids. They were like 2 and 4, maybe at that point. And man, there was a couple moments where I was pulling myself away from my family to deal with the stuff of work, and there was no additional like compensation outside of what my salary was for it. And then that was kind of the, what am I doing? Who am I really working for here? And nothing against the company, like I really did care and I wanted to do a good job. But when I saw the look on my family's face, my children and my wife, when I was stepping away from them at 7 o'clock at night to deal with work stuff, it was that's what broke me, and that's what made me say, you know what, I have to create my own schedule and choose when I can do that. So that was it.
All right, how do I not blow up a pressure washer?
Don't get a cheap old one and spray WD-40 on it and hope that it works. Because that's all I ended up doing was spraying WD-40 on it. It got me about an hour's worth of use out of it.
That's awesome. We've blown them up before because our orifice was built for one size pressure washer, and then we ended up hooking it up to another. I don't know if you've ever done anything crazy, but we've seen
Uh,
a
we,
lot of
we've
a
had
lot
a
of
couple. We've had a few blow up over the years. Yeah.
Hey, and so one of the things that, as far as mindsets, if you're a kingdom-minded entrepreneur or business owner, you're thinking about starting a business or a side hustle, you've got kids, and you're like, man, I can either trade the rest of my life to make somebody else money, or I can trade the rest of my life to make me and my family money. That really is what we're talking about. We're talking about generating multi-generational wealth. And I was chatting with one of my daughters about this, John. I said, you can work as hard as you possibly can for the company you work at 40 hours a week. How much are they going to pay you? They're going to pay her how much, John?
What she's worth, right? The
Well,
value
yeah.
she brings. The value she brings.
Well, if they say, hey, we're going to pay you, let's make up a number, $25 an hour, and you work your butt off, you bring in 50 clients, you are making people happy, they're giving reviews, there's no performance based pay.
Mm.
And for 40 hours a week at $25 an hour, how much is she making each week?
Oh, you want me to do that math?
I'll do it. I'll do it. $1,000.
Okay. Yeah.
And so let's pretend that she's at that $25 an hour job working 40 hours a week, and she doesn't really care how she works, how many clients she brings in, how many reviews. She's going to make the same amount of money. There's
Mm.
no incentive in saying, I create the value of my work. And I'm like, baby, there's my kids. I'm like, dude, you can actually go outside of the box and work your tail off and generate more money for you and your family than you would if you worked for somebody else inside their positions. And not suggesting it's wrong, but when we're talking about kingdom minded mindsets and business owners and entrepreneurs, it's changing your mindset between working for somebody else versus I'm going to bet on me. And I think that's a good place to be at.
Yeah.
John, when you started the business, tell me about your first job.
Uh, I could still remember the experience of getting that first phone call. I went out, and the way I got that first phone call, I went to Staples or Office Depot, and I got some of that like neon colored printer paper. So it was either like a lime, like a bright yellow, or I think it was either an orange or a pink. I can't remember. It was one of those, fluorescent colored papers, and I just printed off 100 something flyers on our printer at home, and found a nice neighborhood and drove around the one night and popped them into people's mailbox slots. And the next day, I was at the construction job, was up about an hour and a half north on a construction site, standing in the job trailer at lunch. And I remember my phone ringing. I answered it. The guy said, "Yeah, I saw your flyer. I was interested in getting my roof washed." And I was like, I was dumbfounded. I was like a deer in the headlights. I didn't know what to say, right? Because I didn't prepare. I didn't script anything. I didn't have any processes or systems in place to like handle phone calls. So I stumbled my way through it. And thankfully, the guy was very gracious and patient. But I went out that evening, met the customer, looked at the job, quoted it, and we went out. I think that Friday evening or something like that, and did my first roof wash. And man, it was awesome. It was such a rush, but like I remember hanging up the phone from that call and thinking, man, this is gonna work. Like somebody actually wants to hire us. This is awesome. Like so yeah, I could still picture where I was standing when I got that phone call. It was really cool. It's definitely a pivotal moment.
Do you remember how much that first roof cleaning job was?
Way too low, I can tell you that much. I
$99 guy.
No, it was. I mean, look, for the at the time, this would have been 2012. Um, I want to say, was it? No, it's 2013. I want to say we were probably at about maybe 550, 560, and at that point, like to get a check for $560 after doing 3 hours worth of work, I was like, my gosh, this is amazing. It
Yeah.
was awesome.
Let me talk about it for a second. If you're watching this and you're thinking about whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, you're like, hey, I wonder how I can make more money. You get a pressure washer, you get a highlighted, I see the flyers. Children's churches use those flyers all the
Yeah.
time. You can make good airplanes out of them. And you just start working. You watch YouTube, get ChatGPT, and you're making $500-$600 a day doing work. And not only can you do work, you can treat the customer with care. You can pray for them. You can share your story. Like being a minister in the marketplace is a beautiful thing to be. You don't have to operate in somebody else's frameworks. You can create your own frameworks and how you operate inside of your city. And so just want to encourage you, if you're thinking about starting or scaling, I've got a free webinar. You can go to pressurewashingpastor.com and you can schedule up to see a free start and scale pressure washing company for free. And I give step by step. All right. So now that you're starting to get money, did you quit your job immediately or did you keep it as a side hustle for a little while?
No, I wish I could say, yeah, I sold that one job, did it, and I was like, see ya, I'm done. But no, yeah, deuces. I was a little bit more calculated about it, and I would say, maybe saying calculated is a bit giving myself too much credit. I think it was more from a place of fear, if I'm honest. It was that I wanted that safety net still of my full-time job because while I was excited that the business was kind of working and it was seemingly turning into something legitimate, I didn't know how long it was going to last for. It was like I got these phone calls. It was springtime. Springtime is always busy for power washing, right? So I wasn't sure if this was going to be a flash in the pan thing, just I was busy for 5 weeks and now it's just dead. But I continued to pursue it and continued to hustle. And it was 8 months later. So I ended up staying on with the construction company for 8 months. And as I continued to kind of like grow the business a little bit, they saw the writing on the wall and they knew that I was going to eventually leave. So we had conversations early on because at that time I was managing about, I don't know, $30 million worth of construction projects. So it was about 4 or 5 different projects. I had, I was full on managing, and I can't just like, see you guys, 2 weeks, I'm out. Like, I didn't want to do that to my coworkers either because I cared for them. I didn't want to just leave them holding the bag and like scrambling. Um, so I had a transition period of it was probably about a 2 month transition period when we finally decided yeah, I think I'm going to be stepping away here. I transitioned all my projects over, and it just so happened to be we did a lot of school construction, so it just so happened that the like last week that I was working was early August, and right about the time when the schools are transitioning, we're turning them over, and the teachers are starting to come back and set their classrooms up and all that. So the construction project was pretty much over at that point. So it was a good transition time anyway.
Yeah. And so it took about 8 months. And you said you started in the spring. So we're looking at wintertime is when you left your construction business or
Yeah, it was
something?
it was it was August. It
Okay.
was August. Yeah.
Okay. When you think about like one meeting, like one customer that opens up huge opportunities. And so I want you to share for a second how just doing one job can open up multiple streams of jobs coming in. Can you share a story of someone you met, someone you served, and the next thing you know, you've got big money coming in?
Um, I think a lot of it was God had his hand in growing our business. There's no question. There's many times looking back, we ended up getting some contracts. It was like, how in the world did that happen? Right. And there's only one answer. But um I think in particular in the early days, it I did a lot of boots on the ground, cold calling of because back in the day, I could only put out so many flyers for residential stuff. So, and the average residential job, a couple hundred, maybe $1,000 if it's a big one. And this is, 12, 13 years ago now. But I realized early on, well, if I can go out and like knock on the door of some apartments complexes or some hotels and offered to wash a hotel, I can make as much as I could do washing 10 houses that I could do with one hotel. So, like, it's just an arbitrage of my time. Like, how much time do I have in a day to go knock on doors? Let's just go for the bigger ones and make it happen. So, I ended up knocking on the door of this apartment complex. Um, and the person I needed to talk to wasn't there, and this is one of those God moments. They weren't in, so when I left, I had to get gas in the truck. So I just happened to stop at the gas station, like quarter mile away from that apartment complex. And the guy I needed to talk to was there getting gas. He saw my truck and approached me and said, "Hey, we need a quote." And I was like, "I was just looking for you." So yeah, and that relationship, we've been servicing that customer ever since. It's been 11 years, and yeah, it's been fantastic. That's opened up a lot of doors for us with apartments and different communities.
All right. Tell me that that's not just happen chance. It just
Right.
happened that way.
Yeah. Yeah. There's
I
no
want,
way.
yeah, I want you to know if you're a kingdom minded entrepreneur or business owner, there's no accidents. God opens up doors all around us. And if we do the right thing the right way, I feel like He blesses us. Just to go sideways for 1 second, is early on in my first year, of course, I'm cleaning some of the work myself. And as I'm cleaning this lady's house, I'm using my soft wash system. It ends up breaking one of those dryer vent covers that's underneath one of the soffits. I'm talking about, like 2 stories in the air,
Mm-hmm.
and it comes down and hits me right, down on the ground right next to my foot. And I'm looking at it, I'm thinking, hmm, do I kick it? And let's be real, do I kick it and like make it disappear underneath grass? No, I need to maybe grab it, put it in my pocket. Like, what do I do at this moment? And what you do in that moment determines everything.
Mm-hmm.
I ended up grabbing it. I finished up the job. I went to their home. She wasn't home. She hired me. Her husband was. And I just said, Mr. I'm going to keep their name, at liberty. I'm going to say, Mr. Jones, I broke this when I was cleaning it, the side of the house, and I'm going to replace it. I don't even know what the thing was called. I don't know how big it is. Like, I am very new to the pressure washing industry. And he said, no, don't worry. I didn't even have a ladder that was tall enough to get up there. I had one of those A-frame ladders that, goes like this and you can pull
Yeah.
some of it up. So I had to go get another ladder that was higher. I had to do all this extra stuff to fix this $5 piece that could have been something that made disappear. Well, after I got it done with the job, he said, "You need to meet my wife." And I was like, "Who's your wife?" And he ends up sharing that she oversaw this very large community called Fairview Plantations, and from that location, we've been able to do hundreds of thousands of dollars of work because of that relationship. And so, if you're thinking about how do you make disciples, how do you do right, how do you be a kingdom-minded business owner? It's like this: you do what's right in any given situation, and I think God blesses it over time. And so that's what I hear from your story, and I want to share with our listeners that thought as well. I've got a question for you. You've been in the pressure washing industry for a while now. If you had to start a new trades business today, knowing everything you know about the trades, which trade business are you starting?
I think I would probably go lean towards electrical.
Why?
Um, I think it's pretty safe from AI. I think it's a necessity, and it seems to be only growing, and the labor pool is shrinking. This is actually it's something that my wife and I have talked about for a while. It's a dream of ours to start a trade school, because the trade schools have, at least in our area, I'm pretty sure around the country, have been kind of becoming extinct. Um, so uh, I think it's super important. It's going to be important to really the sustainability of our country at this point. If we run out of tradespeople with skills, that's going to be a big detriment. So yeah, we have a heart for. I mean, I grew up in the trades. My father was a welder. Um, I working with your hands and delivering something, there's something about that too, like with the trades, like you talked about, Josh. It allows you to have interaction with people, and there's so there's so little of that these days with all these automations and everything. It's like a breath of fresh air when you actually get to speak to somebody and have a genuinely like pleasant conversation with somebody. It's like, wow, like that's so rare these
Yeah.
days. But so I think it's a unique platform. Well, maybe not quite unique. Maybe that's not the right word, but it seems to be becoming unique. But yeah, my brother-in-law is an electrician. He started his own business, and he's doing well. And there's lots of opportunity there. And knowing what I know, having been able to grow a successful pressure washing company now, I'm like, man, if I could take the skills that I learned here to build this company and the construction background that I have from my prior career, it could probably be pretty dangerous. And
Yeah.
yeah,
What would you call it?
ooh, I don't know. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. Would you chat GPT it or just ask
Oh,
him?
100. I'd 100% ChatGPT. Yeah. I use it to get inspiration. It gets the wheels turning for me. So I don't always just copy and paste it. I use it more as a kind of spark for inspiration.
Yeah. So if you're thinking about opening a home service type business, you heard it from John that you might want to look at the electrical business, and I agree with it as it relates. It'd either be electrical, HVAC, or plumbing because they're more necessity. When it comes to landscaping and pressure washing, it's a great place to cut your teeth, to learn business, learn how to love people, to work hard, serve. But when you think about like sustainable income during hard times, this is, a trade school or doing those type of trades is a beautiful place to be at. If you're looking for, more information on the trades, I want you to visit AsYouGo.Network. We're actually opening up a kind of a, I'm not going to say it's a church for the trades, but it's almost like a community for the trades where they can get coaching, they can get content, they can get courses on creating jobs, making disciples, and serving the city. So if you're interested, make sure you check that out. Joining the community is free. Um, when you think about how faith has shaped your business, what role has your faith shaped in the decisions you make and the prices you charge and how you operate as a business?
Uh, Man, it's been, I tell you what, when we started, it was more a survival instinct of we just gotta figure this out. Sorry, my camera went out here, but you can still hear me, so I'm just gonna keep rolling. Um, and from a faith standpoint, man, in the early years, my wife and I would pray, and I know we had a lot of people praying for us because they knew we took a risk. And man, the amount of people that I even still today, but especially earlier in when we were first starting, um, people that I would run into at church and I haven't seen in a couple, maybe a few months, they come up and say, "Oh, how's things going?" And I'd say, Things are great. It's growing. We're doing awesome." And they say, "Man, I've been praying for you." So, man, the power of prayer, the faith that I feel like God put this entrusted me with this business, that coming coming from it from the perspective that since God trusted me with this business, he will or will not let me fail. And if he lets me fail, it's for a reason. So, but ultimately, I truly feel like he wants us to succeed in this business. He really does, because of the impact that we can have. And through the success of this business now, I've been able to help other business owners through some coaching and consulting, help them better their business so that then they can better their families and their employees. And it's the ripple effect that I feel like I'm feeling more of a calling like you are now, of like reaching outward, of not just within my own, circle of influence, but reaching out to others to help others.
Yeah, so good. For somebody that, have you ever felt like selling the business or quitting the business?
You know, I'm not going to lie. There's been plenty of times that I felt like I want to just stop. Um, but man, there's the amount of times I come back to it and say, it's a short window of time. There's a mild frustration or, something that just forget it. We're done. Eh, A day or two later, after unplugging a little bit, connecting with God, asking him like, okay, when I get the emotional response, when I get past the emotional response of it and I can think level-headedly and go to prayer and ask, okay, Lord, you let this happen for a reason. Why? What do you want me to learn from this?
Yeah.
And those, I've gotten better over the years with that. It's taken me shorter and shorter periods of time to get to that point, from when the event happens to that. It used to be way longer. But um that's helped tremendously.
Yeah. For somebody that has started a business, and they're not getting their phones ringing and they're thinking about quitting, this is the last thing we're going to have you share. For someone that wants to throw in the towel, they want to quit, they want to give up their business, what piece of advice do you have for them?
What's the alternative is the
Uh,
question.
They're going to go back to work at Papa John's, Uber, or Lyft.
I think it really comes back for me. The question always comes back as to why. Why did you take this risk? Why did you do this in the first place? And look, let's be honest. I mean, I don't want to sugarcoat it. Not everybody's cut out to be a business owner. They're just not. I mean, there's a statistic out there. What is it? 75% of businesses fail. Like, and there's a lot of businesses out there that are just jobs. If you get the brutal honesty out of the way, like, people are business owners, but the business owns them, and they don't really have a business. They have a job. They're self-employed, and it might sound harsh, but look, sometimes we got to hear that, because the reality of it is, if you've been grinding and hustling and just and I think what the bottom line comes down to is if you started this business so you can better your family situation and it's actually doing you've been going at it for years and nothing's ever getting better, you either need to look in the mirror and say, am I just not cut for this? Or am I just being not putting in what I really need to put in to get to that next level? Because man, I tell you what, it pains me. It really pains me to see others just stuck in that rut and that hamster wheel year after year after year, and seeing guys there for 15, 20 years and just can't, they want to, but they just can't get past that. It really pains me because I've seen, I know the steps to get past it, right? You know, we've got the roadmap of, okay, jump over here and turn left there. Like, all those things, but some people just they just there's something that just doesn't click for them. And so I guess I want to be encouraging, but at the same time, like, you got to be real. Like, don't, my friend Josh Latimer says, don't sacrifice your family at the altar of your business. And when he kind of made that statement, that I was in that kind of grind mode still when I heard that, and that's what got me out of it. I'm like, man, I got to push through this because I can't stay here. I got to make this better.
Yeah, it's so good. As you're chatting, I'm thinking about some of the proverbs as it relates to seeking wisdom. And although it might cost you everything, pay for it. And I think that if someone's listening and they're thinking about quitting their business, you've got to be willing to join a community, some coaches that can help you identify if you should get rid of what you're doing or stop what you're doing, because someone that really loves you, cares about you, and cares about your future, they're going to try to direct you in the right direction. So find somebody that you trust, that you can chat
Mhm.
with. And then what I've learned, inside of cross country, do you run much, John?
Only when I'm on vacation. I don't run at home, but I run anytime I'm traveling. I'm always running.
So we've got a cross country team that my kids have belonged to for about 4 years. And what you learn is that if you put kids, even kids that are slow, with groups of other kids, as long as they're running together, they progress together over time.
Mm,
And that's why I think that so many of our entrepreneurs that start businesses, kingdom minded business owners, they end up failing because they're doing it alone. And I really think
mhm,
we need to consider what it would look like to have a pack of kingdom minded business owners that you can run together, and you can understand what greatness looks like or what a rep looks like, because you might, put a barbell that might be 45 pounds up and you're, doing chest presses. And then you look over to the side and there's this dude doing 300 pounds and you're like, okay, that's what's required to be great. And I think sometimes just associating and putting yourself in a community of folks who are doing great things can actually make you scale up. And so that's some encouragement that we would give. I want to thank you for being a guest on Mission Plan 316, a source for kingdom minded entrepreneurs and business owners looking to create jobs, make disciples, and serve the city. Any final words, John?
yeah, I just appreciate you having me on, Josh. I always love being able to share my story and help others. Man, I'm really excited. We're actually it's been on my heart for probably about 2 years now, but I've been wanting to create a business group within our church of, because there's fellow, but like you just said, I mean, your last comment there was spot on, and I wanted to be able to support it just within our church, our local church. And we're finally doing that. I've gotten that pulled together. I've got a bit of a framework, and it's called Profit with Purpose. And man, I'm so jacked up and excited for it. And my vision for this is just to grow and expand past our church, because there's definitely a need for it. And I love what you're doing. Any way I can support you guys, just let me know.
Yeah. Is there any information that somebody can find out if they're wanting to maybe implement what you're implementing in your church?
I tell you what, we'll call it, it's in beta version right now. So I'll keep you in the loop here once we're launching it in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Um,
you're going to be a guest that for recurring. Next time you drop in, we're going to have your wife with us, which I'm super
Yeah.
excited to have.
Yes.
Maybe that's what we'll try to do all of October, is just to bring our spouses on
That would be awesome.
to have conversations with. But the problem you just addressed is a problem that the church is really trying to solve, and it's how do we mobilize our believers in the marketplace. So I love this idea of you pulling that together. Love for you to share what you're learning as you're growing, and maybe even by December or January you bring the whole business collective on, and we end up chatting on what it looks like inside your business. But
That'd be awesome.
yeah, whatever we can do to promote more people living out, business as mission in their community, I'm all for it. But John, thank you so much for being a guest. I will see you next month and hope you have a great day.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Bye for now.